All right, y'all. A lot of people ask me about like color genetics, what is possible, what is not possible. And this last weekend at show, my friend Lloyd gave me his very specific, very niche book about color genetics in rabbits. And of course, it hits in the chapters 1 and 2, like the very basic color genetics. But when I say this hits the deep, deep color genetic, I love this book and we are going to read it together. I don't know if y'all want this or not, but we're going to have a sleepy story time reading about color genetics in rabbits. And I'm going to read this to you. If I have something that I very poorly mispronounce, I do apologize. I am from rural Ohio, okay? So my mispronunciations are there, and I do apologize, but I'm going to try my best with my master's degree because I do have an educational background, but I do have a speech impediment and a stutter. So let's try this. So, I present to you the prefix of the genetics and genomes of the rabbit. In the preface, we read, the European rabbit, also known as rabbit, or in some context referring to the domesticated animal as domestic rabbits, is a multi-purpose species. It is considered a livestock for meat and for production, a fancy animal or a pet with a broad spectrum of different phenotypes, an animal model used to address many biological questions, a bioreactor for the production of antibodies or other biologicals as a pest or wild resource species in several regions. World rabbit meat production reaches about 1.5 million tons, and it is on average increasing by 3 to 4% each year. Rabbit fancy breeders maintain a large collection of breeds and lines that constitute very valuable natural genetic resources. The rabbit is one of the most common animal models in biomedicine. It is used in all research areas, ranging from basic research to clinical disciplines. Its size and its specific anatomy and biology make the rabbit a more appropriate model than the rabbits in several fields. Pharmaceutical companies have developed therapeutic rabbit antibodies and transgenic rabbits for production of humanized proteins used as therapeutic agents for several diseases and treatments. Phyoglossal and myoglossal antibodies produced from rabbits are widely marketed commercially. The worldwide annual market is estimated to be $3 to $4 billion with an annual growth rate of 10 to 15%. The rabbit serves as a keystone species, an ecosystem engineer in its native range. The rabbit has been introduced in South America, Australia, and many islands in which it is considered a pest. The use of viruses has been tested experimentally to control these feral populations. Domestication of these rabbits has been a progressive and recent event, from 1200 to 400 years ago or less, as compared to other livestock species, making this a unique legomorph, a very interesting model to evaluate domestication processes, comparing domestic stock and wild populations that are present together in domestication center, i.e. Spain, France, as well as most other European countries. By the way, the European rabbit is considered the only animal species that has been domesticated in only Western Europe. Since the discovery of Mendel's laws at the beginning of the 1900s, the rabbit has been cornerstone of the genetics of mammals. The pioneering of William E. Castell, who published in 1930 the first genetic textbook dedicated to the rabbit, The Genetics of the Domesticated Rabbit, together with the studies of several other founders of this emerging discipline, shed the first light on genetics of the rabbit, starting from explaining the variety of coat colors, diversity, segregation in the species. The genomatics era has recently visited the rabbit. The rabbit genome has sequenced, opening new perspectives in all fields mentioned above, eliminating disadvantages and limiting the rabbits compared to other species and creating additional opportunities in several applied biologies. This book is addressed to a broad audience, including students, teachers, researchers, veterinarians, and rabbit breeders. The purpose of this book is to present in one location a comprehensive overview of the progress of genetics in the rabbits with a modern vision that integrates geometrics to obtain a complete picture of the state of the art and the application of its species, defined accordingly to the multiple uses and multifaceted places that the species has in applied and fundamental biology. The 18 chapters cover several fields of genetics and geometrics. Chapters 1 and 2 present the rabbit within the evolutionary framework, including the system semiotics, its domestication, and an overview of genetic resources, breeds, and lines that have been developed after domestication. Chapters 3 through 5 cover the rabbit's genomes, cytogenetics and genetic maps, and immunogenetics in the species. Chapters 6 through 8 present the genetics and molecular genetics of the coat colors, fibers, traits, and other morphological traits and defects. Chapters 9 through 13 cover the genetics of complex traits, disease resistance, growth and meat production traits, reproductive traits, reproductive technologies, and genetic improvements in the meat rabbits. Chapters 14 through 18 present the geometric vision, the biotech and biomolecular processes and applications of the rabbits. And then the book goes on to say that this book is a result of international efforts among scientists that started with European Union funded cost actions, a collaboration European network on rabbit genome biology, RGPTnet, with acquired the contributions of several other specialists. And they go on to say, I am very grateful to all of them who were with patience, have waited for the time of publication for their work. I acknowledge the professionalism and help of the CABI in producing the book that I hope will serve as a useful reference for all of those who study or work with this fascinating species. The book is particularly dedicated to my family, my wife Giovanna, my son David, and my daughter Sarah, who are supporting me in the daily work of a scientist, a job that is a sort of mission to discover and spread the work of knowledge, is reported in this book. And it says, Luca Fontazzi, 8th of March, 2021.